The Mijnweg National Park, an area of 7,000 hectares of woods and heather moorland situated largely in Germany. The Dutch part covers an area of 2,500 hectares and is situated in the middle of the Dutch province of Limburg. In the past, this area consisted mainly of oak and birch woods. The peaty pools here are fed by seepage water from the high terrace. In open areas, you can find plants such as bell heather, Scotch heather, and cotton grass. The diverse transitions from wet to dry heathland and the accompanying alternating vegetation makes this an ideal habitat for varied reptile fauna. One of these species of reptile is the adder, the only poisonous snake found in the Netherlands. At the end of March, when the heat of the sun has raised the ground temperature to 10 degrees centigrade, the adders come out of their hibernation sites. The males appear first. They are light-colored with a clear black zigzag line on their backs. An adult specimen is about 60 centimeters long. Male adders become sexually mature in their third year, when they're about 35 centimeters long. In the first week, after making their appearance, the males can usually be found in groups sunning themselves. For this, they look for a dry spot out of the wind, such as grassy hillocks, open areas in the heath, bunches of dead twigs, and open bog myrtle brushwood. Adders are cold-blooded animals who need the sun to warm up their bodies. The heat of the sun also helps the production of sperm cells in their bodies. When, after 3 weeks, the females come out of their winter sleep, the males are ready to mate. During sunbathing, the adders flatten their bodies so that they can absorb more heat from the sun, thus coming up to temperature more quickly. Once they have reached the ideal temperature, they keep it stable by creeping partly into or under the vegetation. In the middle of April, the time is ripe for the adders to shed their skins. The skin on the belly side is the first to come loose and is now a milky color. The animal loses its shine, and its eyes become a cloudy blue. The reason for this is that the cornea is beginning to loosen. Just before the actual shedding of the skin, or sloughing, the skin comes loose over the entire body. The snake vest is left behind, inside out in the vegetation, and this is usually the only part of the sloughing that we humans see. Some weeks after the males, the females come out of their winter sleep. With a length of up to 80 centimeters, they're a bit longer than the males and are a brownish color. Female adders become sexually mature in their fourth year, at a length of about 45 centimeters. They don't gather around the sunny spots, but move around through the field. In search of a suitable summer biotope, this 50 meters wide peaty pool doesn't appear to present insurmountable problems for her. Seemingly, without any problem, the female swims across to the other side. The females who are ready to mate and are searching for a suitable summer biotope leave a scent trail behind during their movements through the field. When a male comes across that scent trail, he will follow it until he finds the female. He detects the scent with his tongue. If two males meet each other on the same scent trail, something very special happens. One male challenges the other male to a battle with entwining, stiffening, and pressing down. There is never any biting. The snakes could wound each other with their poison fangs and possibly even kill. These battles are only seen sporadically. They're usually short, although with two equal males, the fight can last for 20 minutes or so. The fighting stops as suddenly as it started. The winner can now give his full attention undisturbed to the lovemaking. With jerky movements, he creeps carefully over the female. By feeling the skin of the female with his tongue, he tastes whether or not the female is ready to mate. The female hurries away, but the male continues to follow her, sometimes for days. Eventually, they mate. Adolescent adders are seldom seen in fields. They lead a concealed existence in and under thick vegetation. They live mainly off young lizards. These young adders are themselves the prey of others, including smooth snakes. Smooth snakes do not have poisonous fangs but kill their prey by strangling. With strong muscular movements, this 20-centimeter long adder is swallowed. The adder is a poisonous snake. An adder will usually seek refuge if he's disturbed. However, if he is unexpectedly approached too closely, he'll feel threatened and strike out towards his enemy with his poisonous fangs. In the first instance, this bite will not be very noticeable. But after a few hours, the part of the body which was bitten will swell. However, the bite is not deadly. The venom properties are not specifically directed towards humans, but the snake has learnt to use it as a defense weapon. The adder has no resistance to damage done to his habitat. He lives in a finely balanced rhythm that consists mainly of undisturbed sunbathing and its accompanying optimal balance of energy. If, however, he is regularly disturbed, he has to flee more often, and then he will use more energy than normal. If the adder doesn't have the opportunity to replace this extra wasted energy, he'll go into the winter in poor condition. One of the threats to the adder is the growing number of tourists. It is of vital importance to close off various paths to walkers and cyclists. Increasing industry on the edge of the Mijnweg is also a threat. Every day it extracts thousands of cubic meters of groundwater from the area. Likewise, the German lignite quarries situated at several tens of kilometers outside the Mijnweg present problems too. It's not the gigantic excavators, but the hundreds of pumping stations around the quarries that since 1980 have caused the groundwater level in the Mijnweg to fall by more than 5 meters. In managing the Mijnweg, the requirements which the adder puts on his biotope will also have to be considered. Over-intensive grazing by horses, cows and sheep renders it an unsuitable habitat for adders. It's important that pasturing with sheep is done under guidance to prevent overgrazing. This extensive grazing allows a dense, herbaceous vegetation with purple moorgrass, wavy hairgrass and Scotch heather to develop locally. Through research, we've obtained more insight into the life of adders. And yet, there are 2 questions to which we could find no answer. Adders in the Netherlands have a 2-year reproduction cycle. But where are the females in the year that they do not take part in reproduction? Because they're seldom seen. Males are not often seen after the reproduction period either. Only the pregnant females are seen regularly. They make optimal use of the sun's heat to further the development of the unborn young in their bodies. An adult adder eats 6 to 8 preys per year. To the adder, preys are lizards, frogs, and especially mice. This mouse is in luck today. The pregnant female has more need of warmth from the sun than of food. Depending on the number of hours of sun and the average temperature during the day in the gestation period, the young adders are born at the end of August or the beginning of September. The young adders are contained in a membrane, but this is usually broken before birth. A female has, on average, 10 babies, and the length of these at birth is about 15 centimeters. They'll leave the mother immediately and lead an independent life in the wild. At the beginning of October, all snakes return to their hibernation site. This is often a few decimeters deep under a large oak or birch tree. They can be used by the same animals for years on end. With regard to their management, particular attention will have to be paid to the further optimization of the biotopes. Measures will also have to be taken to stop the area from drying out, and tourism should be restricted so that the adders can get what they have a right to: peace and quiet on the Mijnweg.